this is our first podcast in like a year, and you may be wondering why. Well, we already covered that in a podcast that we recorded a couple months ago and then never posted. But let's just say we were silenced by the Clinton family. We dealt with that, and we will not be talking about it anymore. Theme song.
Shouts out to the Motion Pixel Podcast. Yeah, I do know Lil B. I think I know the bass guy as well. Shout out Matthew Meyer and Andrew Rollins.
Shout out to Uncle Danny. He's also a member of this podcast.
Let's get it. Shout out everybody playing baseball.
All right. Well, let's get to these. Movies.
Sure.
I know. Yeah, because we're gonna do a whole bunch of horror stuff since 'tis
Halloween.
the season.
Tis the season.
I know. Gus is doing the 30 days. Are you doing that too, Dane? Are you watching?
Yeah. Gus stole that idea from me, actually.
No.
He did it last year. Yeah.
No. I invented that.
No, this is a kind of a stolen valor moment.
No.
Let's just say you're kind of like in this situation, you're kind of like a fat guy saying he's in the Marines at a strip mall, and in this situation, I'm kind of like a real special ops soldier who's seen some shit, who's slapping the shit out of you.
Yeah, well, who's gonna get the movie deal? Me, because I'm more approachable. See, you're slapping people, but I'm here with the same story, but I can be, I can show up for interviews and do questions and stuff.
Yeah, Paul Blart,
Yeah.
Paul Blart is technically a Halloween movie.
I thought you were gonna say horror movie.
Because Kevin James is wearing a Halloween costume because he's wearing a fat suit.
Oh,
okay.
I thought he was really that fat.
Cool. I guess that counts then.
No, Kevin James is only slightly less fat than the fat suit is.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're both doing the one horror movie a day, every day for the entire month of October. And I decided to choose movies that I've never seen before, no rewatches. And I'm watching them in the order in which they came out, with only a few exceptions. And
okay.
So that's the gimmick I'm going through.
Yeah, I was gonna say your list is like all these movies are old as fuck. Like
so far, but they're getting newer and newer. I'm already in the 90s, and we're what is it, the 9th? So
you're such a 90s kid. Yeah,
I made sure and watched a few of the classics, but we'll only be talking about a few of them, I think, because you said that you think you've seen a few.
No, I've only seen The Evil Dead. I would like I would like to be sold on a few of them.
All right.
But yeah, because I need to make a better list, because I was going to do the 30 days of it, and then I didn't. So
it came upon us too fast, I think.
No, I'm just bad at it. I watched like a bunch of Attack on Titan, which I can't even stretch.
It's kind of a horror. That's kind of a horror.
It's horror elements.
Kind of, but.
I've only seen the first season, so I'm assuming that gets stretched, that theme, but maybe not.
Dude, it's insane. But yeah. Let's go. How about we all pick one highlight to start off? So,
well, you said that you wanted to be sold on Carrie, and both me and Gus have seen it.
Right? Yeah, I love Carrie. And for the record, my list of horror movies that I'm watching in October, which is a concept I thought of before Dane, not Dane before me.
I was joking.
Yeah, let's just say our lawyers got involved when we paused the podcast a minute ago. But I'm just going. I am kind of, I guess, in the same way that like Dane stole that idea from me, I stole Dane's list this month from him, and I'm just watching his list minus the ones that I've already seen, plus some others that I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as we do more podcasts this month, we'll probably be talking pretty much exclusively about horror movies, but we'll start with Carrie, I guess. When was the last time you've seen Carrie, Gus?
I watched Carrie maybe 2 years ago, and before that, I think I saw it like flipping through channels on like TNT when I was like
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. It's definitely like which is weird to me. It doesn't seem like a TV movie watching it in its original format because it's kind of it's definitely a rated R movie, especially the beginning. You saw it on Blu-ray or something. You didn't watch it on TV the last time you saw it.
Yeah, I watched it on like I think I downloaded it.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler because it's the first scene, but like the first scene is like a weirdly like it's very strange. It's like the inside of a girl's locker room and they're all naked and walking around. It's in slow motion and the music is all like twinkly and like, look at these funny girls. Aren't they so cute? And they're like teenagers. They're like in high school. And so right off the bat, I was like made uncomfortable. But then like it goes to Carrie and she's like washing herself in slow motion. And I think the movie's trying to say like she's innocent, but it's like the 1976 version of Innocent, which doesn't play very well to me.
The 1976 version of Innocent is just her tits are like slightly smaller than everyone else.
It's very uncomfortable, but if you can get past that part, then the rest of the movie is actually quite interesting and it plays well. It holds up. And I'm assuming that if it ever plays on TV, they just completely cut out the beginning. Because
I do not remember being privileged or cursed with that scene when I was 9 years old.
Right.
So is it like what kind of horror is it? Like
I'd say it's like it's like a coming of age horror. Like the entire movie is basically like an allegory for growing up, growing from a young woman into an adult woman, and Carrie, the character of Carrie, is like she's your typical like shy teenage girl, like kind of nerdy, book smart, like, but she's like heavily bullied by her classmates in the way that Stephen King can do, which by the way, this movie is based on a book by Stephen King. It was like the very first like big book that Stephen King ever made. And it was like hugely successful movie. I'd say that Carrie is probably the big reason why Stephen King is like a household name now.
Yeah, for sure. And the movie's directed by Brian De Palma.
Yes. This is also my first Brian De Palma movie, which he's a hugely famous director. And I had never watched any of his movies before. But we can talk about Brian De Palma a little bit later, but Stephen King is the writer of this, and he said that he actually likes the movie more than the book. So, I'd say that this is more of like a Stephen King writing project than anything. So he very clearly has like a pretty limited range, especially when I watched later on in the week. I watched Christine, which is also a Stephen King book, and it's like basically the exact same thing, which is just like young girl gets bullied. She finds out she has power and then she uses the power to overcome all of these like obstacles in her life. And then she takes it too far basically. And I don't think there's a soul alive who doesn't know the ending of Carrie. Matt, I'm sure you know the ending of Carrie is.
I don't actually. I don't know if I've ever heard of it.
I think I've
heard of it, but I don't think I've like heard of the whole plot.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, okay, so it's like a pretty cut and dry plot. I think the ending is what makes the movie so iconic. So I don't know if I want to spoil it for you if you actually were one of the few people who don't know the ending to it.
There's a big scene in the middle that's very like iconic too. The bucket scene.
The what?
Let's just say someone tips the bucket.
That's not in the middle. That's the end.
That's not the end.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I'm gonna trust Dane on this.
It's in the third. It's in the third act.
My recollection of Carrie is that like the first and second act of the movie are like kind of short, and the third act of the movie
does feel that way.
After the bucket, the not titular,
after
but
the bucket tips.
After the bucket tips, it just kind of like turns.
That's when the movie
this,
starts.
Exactly. That's that. Yeah. What I like about Carrie is the cool pacing of it, where like it almost turns into a different movie. Like it starts out this movie with this girl getting bullied, and her mom is like the super strict, like Catholic or something, who's like really repressive of her daughter, and then okay. I mean, this is not really I think we should just say I think we should describe the bucket because this movie came out in like 1971 or whatever.
Yeah, but now it's on my list.
Okay, Matt, close your ears.
Don't do this to me.
No. You don't have to talk.
Okay. But after the bucket tips, it turns into this like really fucking crazy like horror. That's when kind of the horror shit starts happening.
Yeah, that's where the horror movie starts. But I think you might have this idea that is at the halfway point, because that's when the movie actually starts to become the movie that it's advertised as. But honestly, that happens like a good 75 minutes into the movie, and then the movie, and that from the point where the bucket tips to the ending is like 15 minutes.
Oh, for real?
Like,
damn.
It's not really that much of the movie, which is honestly my major complaint about it, is that it's very backloaded. Like the movie feels like we're just kind of like sitting through some lukewarm padding just so that we can get to the climax of the movie, which is like where the movie actually like becomes iconic. But until we get there, it's kind of like comically weird and like kind of stupid in a lot of parts, especially all the scenes with the mom. In my opinion, I think the mom is like the worst character in it because she's just so ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like the Binding of Isaac live action.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's like every stereotype of like a really like Christian, like you're a sinner and you need to repent, and she's like, that's her entire character, and she doesn't have any subtlety to it. And the actress who's playing her like is clearly like just taking the piss out of the entire role. So like, I think I read in like, not in interviews, but like in the IMDb trivia or something, it said something like the actress thought that the movie was a comedy, so she played it that way, and you can tell.
Awesome.
So when I was watching, I was like, what is this? This movie is like really like almost tragically sad in a lot of parts. But then when she comes into the picture, I feel like it's supposed to make you feel bad, but she just comes off as an idiot. Like it's just like this cartoon villain. And it kind of takes me out of the movie a little bit. But the ending, the third act is like where the movie becomes Carrie. And then, you watch it for that. And there were a few filmmaking techniques that made me nauseous and upset, but Brian De Palma seems like a competent enough guy.
There's a cool ass tracking shot, dolly shot, where the camera follows her walking through the town.
Is it worth watching? It sounds like you kind of didn't like it. Okay, because
I think it's worth watching. I think that honestly, the performance by Sissy Spacek, who plays Carrie, is like the majority of the reason why I like the movie a lot.
And John Travolta is kind of the bad guy.
He is, but he doesn't really. All of the scenes that he was in felt like that padding that I'm talking about.
Yeah. He's a very low stakes bad guy compared to what happens at the end of Carrie.
There are a lot of scenes where we see the evil bullies like go home, and like it's supposed to be character development, but at the end of the movie, like, are we supposed to feel bad for the bullies? I don't know. It's just strange. It's I don't know what the movie is trying to say about everybody else besides Carrie. It seems like they're all like a bunch of cartoons, but Carrie is the only person who has like a character.
It might be a case of weird. Like you said, like Sissy Spacek like fucking kills it as Carrie. It might be a case of just like
she carries it.
That's why that's literally the titular. That's why Stephen King, I heard in an interview, was like, yeah, she killed that role. She really carries it. And then the producer was like, write that down. Like they didn't know what to call the movie based on the book called Carrie. But maybe it's just a case of her being like way better of an actress than anyone else in the movie.
Probably.
So like if it's 75 minutes until it's a horror movie, what is it?
Like a drama.
Then? Just a drama? Okay.
It's like a supernatural. There's like a supernatural element. You see her kind of experimenting with her powers because she like Carrie from the offset. You kind of get this idea that she has telekinetic powers, and so she's kind of like not sure what to do with it, but she also doesn't want to disappoint her mom. She loves her mom, and her mom is like, "It's stop using those powers. The fucking devil is trying to control you through them and stuff." So she has this dilemma. But obviously she's like tired of getting fucking bullied by everybody in her life, and she realizes that she can use it to defend herself. and there's a turning point where she decides to actually like try and become a normal person and go to prom and have a nice time with a boy, and but it all goes bad. It all goes wrong, and that's where the horror movie starts. And up until that point, it actually is an interesting movie that I do like, and I like both versions of the movie, but they both have their issues for me. But it's still worth watching. No, I like both versions of the movie because there's a turning point where it's just like it's like basically like adult Matilda.
Yeah,
good portion of it.
Yeah, and it goes from adult Matilda to adult Matilda, like adult Happy Meal Matilda.
To like Jason.
yeah.
Like she becomes a villain basically, which I think is cool. I'm some of my favorite character arcs are the rise and fall, right? And this is a prime example of that. And I think it's very good and entertaining. And Sissy Spacek kills it. And Brian De Palma, I'm not a huge fan of the split diopter effect. I think it looks like shit. And he uses it a lot. It's basically like where, whenever you have a foreground and the background,
I know
like
what you're talking
there's
about.
A character in focus in the front, and then the background's like blurred out. But in order to make it so that the background is not blurred out, you actually have to use a lens that has two different focal points. So you can very clearly tell when they're using that split diopter lens when the background surrounding a character who's on the, like, say, the right side of a frame is blurry around their edge. And then there's a very clear split line where the frame changes its focal point. And then the background is also in focus. And they use that to, like, if there's two characters talking that are far away from each other, then you use that lens to, like, see both of them instead of adjusting the focus in camera while each of them switch, like, dialogue around. It's just, they're both in focus, but it just looks bad. I don't know how else to describe it. I might just send you a picture of it.
That sounds like something that sounds like a filmmaking problem that was probably solved by like digital filmmaking. That sounds like something you could like do a lot easier without like the blurred edges that give that effect away with a digital camera.
So
that's weird.
That's actually from Carrie.
Okay.
The movie has so many instances of it, but it's also used in modern films a lot, and I don't know why. Because you'd think that they would have like come up with a solution to it.
When you watch a modern movie, what's this effect called?
Split diopter. It's just the name of the lens.
Split diopter. When you go to the movie theater and you watch a movie that has the split diopter effect, you should like get up and leave and then talk to the manager of the cinema and be like, I'd like my money back. This is a split diopter movie, and I was not told about that prior to purchasing my ticket.
No. It's not that offensive. It just kind of like takes me out of the movie when I see it because it's just so obvious. It's like, oh wow, why is the edge of that guy's hair blurry for no reason?
Maybe like Bigfoot, he's just a naturally blurry guy.
Well, anyway,
that kind of
Carrie.
Yeah, Matt, you should watch Carrie. It's quite good, especially if you like Stephen King.
I just got it.
Sweet.
The blurriness, blurry camera shots reminds me of a movie I watched called Army of the Dead. Have you guys seen that?
That's
the Evil Dead one, right?
Isn't that Zack Snyder's new thing?
Yeah, that's Zack Snyder's Netflix movie that came out.
That
like 2
isn't
years
that
ago.
where he uses like huge depth of field difference, where literally every single shot has like an insanely blurry background to the point where even the edges of characters are blurry.
Yeah, like every shot in the movie is like the,
nice try, Zach. Nice try. Yeah. You're not going to make it work.
Yeah, it's funny because every shot in the movie has like a super blurry background that then goes in focus later in the shot, and like the movie is both like I think it's written, directed, and Zack Snyder is the director of cinematography for Army of the Dead. Yeah. I think basically like he just got like the sickest deal ever at Netflix, and they just let him make whatever he wanted. So he decided to make this zombie movie.
Cool, Zach. Cool.
Yeah, nice, Zach. See, it's not, honestly, it's not a great movie, but I have a special place in my heart for Army of the Dead because I have always loved Zack Snyder movies. Like I love what's that movie called? Sucker Punch. I love Sucker Punch. I love Watchmen. Watchmen is one of my favorite movies. I've seen it like a million times. But I just think Zack Snyder's a cool
really
guy.
Speaking to me on the Zack Snyder front. I think that Zack Snyder is extremely hit or miss, and those two movies do hit a lot for me. I think that he's like a cool director in that he has, he has like this want or ability to lean into a stylistic approach to a movie. Like 300 was hugely successful because he was like, let's try and make this movie stylistically cool. And it's not a great movie, but it is visually interesting. And Watchmen is the same way. It's like you're watching a graphic novel unfold. It's very cool. And then Sucker Punch is just this crazy like action exploitation kind of homage, and I like it for that reason. So it's like he clearly has like artistic merit to him, but there are a lot of movies that he's made that just don't hit for me at all. Like the Justice League cut that he did sucks so much, and
I watched that last year. It was like I thought it was better than the OG Justice League, the Joss Whedon like half directed, but it was like so masturbatory. It was like 3 hours long of just like a very mid. Like, did we really need like a 45-minute section about Martian Manhunter?
See, I never saw the Joss Whedon cut, so I just went into it not having any reference point. So I just saw it as a shitty superhero movie that was trying so hard to be cool.
And it was like, they made it like 6 hours long, right?
3 hours.
Made it like 8 hours long.
Dude, it was like 9 hours.
I think it was like 10 hours long.
It was a 3-part docuseries on HBO.
So what's the difference between it and the theatrical cut? I thought they added like a bunch of stuff to it.
The theatrical cut, so when they filmed Justice League, Zack Snyder's daughter died during the filming of it, so he had to step away from directing, and they brought Joss Whedon in, who had directed the Avengers movie, to like finish directing it. And the movie just kind of like Joss Whedon is, I don't know, he's kind of like a campy. He kind of leans into like teen camp, but that makes some of the movies that he makes really successful. Like the Avengers, I think did a really good job of balancing like camp and badass superhero
Cabin
stuff.
in the Woods, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He wrote Cabin in the Woods and like produced it. And that's a great movie. But like what ended up happening with Justice League is that you kind of get this like gritty, stylized movie that Zack Snyder started to make, but then it has all of these like really light touches that Joss Whedon added to it. And it just feels kind of like like there's kind of like whiplash watching the movie. It's just kind of a weird watch. Tonal whiplash. But then the Snyder cut, hashtag Snyder cut. Let's get that hashtag trending again, guys. If our listeners could tweet out hashtag release the Snyder cut, let's get that trending again. Or you could actually do hashtag thank you for releasing the Snyder cut, maybe. And
yeah, we never actually
Zach.
Thanked anybody for that.
So after you thank Zach, you can come back to listening to this. But in the Snyder cut, it like is all the stylized, like almost 300 level of stylized like superhero movie that is very like dark and gritty in tone that Zack Snyder's like kind of signature is.
Also, it's entirely in black and white.
Yeah, and it's all in like 4x3.
It's in 4x3.
What?
Yeah, it's so weird.
He saw the lighthouse and was like, "I'll do that to my superhero movie."
And it's so douchey. It's like before the movie starts, there's like a title card that says like, for artistic reasons, Zack Snyder, the director, has decided to release this movie in black and white and 4x3.
It does nothing for the movie, by the way. It does absolutely nothing for the movie. It actually kind of makes it worse because it just makes it darker and harder to see things. So I don't know. I think that it's so strange. Like Zack Snyder,
why?
For artistic merit. In the beginning.
Yeah, but like,
it's called art,
like,
Matt.
I don't know. I couldn't watch Lighthouse because of that. So I mean, I wasn't planning on watching it, but now I guess I will never watch the Snyder cut.
It's not. At least the Lighthouse had a purpose behind it that made a little bit of sense because it takes place in a time period where that was like, before they even made movies. So you have to take that into account. But when it comes to like a superhero movie where a full frame is probably better. I don't understand the decision.
Yeah, it is funny that you spend like a bajillion dollars re-releasing this shitty movie from a few years before, and like Warner Brothers pays all this money to redo the CGI, and then Zack Snyder cuts off a third of each frame that they paid so much to animate because it's art.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that was great.
Zack Snyder's commitment to the bit is what makes me like him as a filmmaker, and I love Army of the Dead because it is just like Zack Snyder's going to make a weird zombie movie that's really blurry because Zack Snyder likes blurry camera shots for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand.
For artistic reasons, but
it highlights the amount of green screen that he uses.
It's so digital. You can totally tell. And there's actually a really good on Netflix, a really good documentary they released, kind of like a DVD extras kind of thing about the making of Army of the Dead, and it's pretty cool how they like visualize, because most of the movie takes place like in this one area, like on the strip of Las Vegas, but it's all like blown out by zombies. The zombies blew out the back of Las Vegas. Nice. But that was kind of the kind of joke that you might expect in the adult Happy Meal at McDonald's. But
really?
Yeah, but it's so the movie is about like right outside of Las Vegas, there's a couple who got married like in Vegas, and like they're all like sleazy looking, driving in the shitty car outside of Las Vegas, one direction, and in the other direction is this military convoy transporting something in this big storage container. And while the newlywed guy is getting his dick sucked in his car, he like loses control of his car and crashes into the storage unit being transported by the military. And it turns out that inside that storage unit was like some like military test subject zombie thing that like kills everyone, all the military guys, turns them into zombies, and then he like walks over a hill, and that hill exposes Las Vegas, Nevada. And then the movie starts. So you remember in the beginning of Watchmen how there's that really good montage that like describes the history of like the Minutemen?
I've seen the first part of the movie. I didn't finish watching it because it was just I didn't care to finish it.
Of Army of the Blur?
Army of the Blur, yeah. So I am familiar with how the movie opens, and when it opened, I was like, "Oh, Watchmen."
Yeah. So it does this,
but worse.
It does the Watchmen thing where it starts out with like a montage set to like a cover of a song.
Yeah. He loves his covers. The entirety of fucking Sucker Punch is just covers, which is great.
The montage describes like the fall of Las Vegas, and there's some pretty cool like shots. There's like these like it's like over like Las Vegas is like totally overrun by zombies, like a million fucking zombies in the streets, and the United States military is like just losing the battle against the zombies. So they send paratroopers in, but the paratroopers land just like in the middle of hordes of zombies. So like immediately upon like touching the ground, they're like devoured by zombies, and you see everything. I think the montage is really cool, but the rest of the movie is okay.
It's derivative of something I've seen that was done better, so that's why I probably don't like it.
What was the thing that was done better?
The opening to Watchmen is brilliant.
Yeah, it's like
one of my favorite parts of the movie, even though the entire movie is great.
Yeah, the intro. Have you seen Watchmen, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. It's
I don't remember it though.
The beginning, the beginning has like a credits montage of like the history of the previous Watchmen. And it's played in like Zack Snyder slow motion. All of these like images, they're like 3D pictures almost. It's very cool. Yeah. But when I saw that, the whole time I was just like, oh, this is just I've already seen this. You know what I mean?
He did a Watchmen. He's gonna have to sue himself for copyright infringement.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really impressed by it, and honestly, I just think it looks worse because of the huge amount of depth of field and in the focusing of his cameras. I just can't get past it. It just looks horrible. That's why I couldn't finish it. I was just like, this looks like shit. This looks like it's just
the
not
whole movie is like that. Yeah, the entire movie uses that. But I am able to look past bullshit a lot of the times for the sake of a bit. and I've seen Army of the Dead a few times now. Actually, I watched it. It has a special place in my heart because it was the first movie I watched in theaters after COVID lockdowns in Afghanistan, Chirac, Shiran. So I like it for that reason. I like Dave Bautista in it. I think he's like a really surprisingly good actor. Yeah, I really liked him in Blade Runner. He's in this new M. Night Shyamalan movie that looks good. But I like how he's like a big teddy bear, who's like he's like a big beefy WWE star with a heart of gold kind of deal. But if you like heist movies, I would recommend giving Army of the Dead another shot because there is some cool elements where it does kind of turn into Ocean's 11 with zombies in Las Vegas.
I feel like it's just it's maybe nostalgic to people who were a big fan of the zombie craze of the early 2010s. But honestly, I'm more than glad to be past that era. And so anything that like revisits that, even for nostalgic's sake, is just not my thing.
Yeah, did you ever see Warm Bodies?
No. Fuck that movie.
That was like the end of that fucking wave you're talking about. Like all the zombie movies came out, and then Valentine's Day one year, they made a zombie romance movie. And it's like, all right, you've killed it.
I'm glad.
There's like a Tumblr girl who falls in love with a soft, cold penis of a zombie.
That's so fucking sweet. So adorable.
It's so adorable. It's like adorkable. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like I'm kind of a dork, but I'm also kind of adorable.
It's adorable.
Yeah, because I'm kind of a dwarf, but I'm also kind of adorable. Army of the Dead, it turns into like a heist movie because after the first opening montage, that opening montage is like, you know, the fall of Las Vegas, but it also kind of shows like Dave Bautista being this like badass special forces guy who's like taking out zombies, but then his like family gets killed or something. I kind of forget, but he
says the guy who's seen this movie multiple times doesn't even know the character's motivation.
Yeah,
that's how well it's set up.
You've watched it multiple times?
Yeah, this is probably my 5th or 6th time watching Army of the
Dead. When did this come out?
Like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is kind of I don't know why we're talking about this movie now when, I mean, you've seen it a bunch of times by now, I guess, so you're the expert on it.
Yeah, I actually turned it on, and my girlfriend was like, why do we have to watch this movie? But yeah, I don't know. I like it. Dave Bautista like assembles a team of like specialists to go and fight their way into the zombie hordes in Las Vegas to like go and unlock a vault underneath a casino that has like $200 million in cash that's already been like paid for by the insurance company. So it's just like free money. And President Donald Trump in the movie, like Sean Spicer, the former speaker, like a press secretary for Donald Trump, is in this movie, and he talks about how Donald Trump decides to nuke Las Vegas to kill all the zombies. so before Donald Trump nukes the zombies in Las Vegas, Dave Bautista goes on this like heist, a zombie heist, to get the money under one of the casinos, and that's what the movie's about.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
So this has only affected Las Vegas. This is like quarantined to Las Vegas, this zombie outbreak.
Yeah, they stacked a bunch of storage containers around Las Vegas to create like a perimeter, and all the zombies are just like chilling inside. And then when they get in to the perimeter, they find out that like some zombies are like stupid, like zombies.
Yeah, some of them are smart, and they have like a zombie army, which is the titular name of the movie. You know,
the titular army of the blur.
The titular army. That's so fucking dumb. I'm sorry. I know you like the movie. It's just so like I never made it that far, but I know about that from watching like people review it and stuff. It's just like, wow.
And it's like
that's amazing.
It's like Zack Snyder made this movie with the intention of it becoming like a cinematic universe, because there's a
what?
That's how you
Yeah, dude,
sell
it's
things
so
to.
good.
Well, that's how things get made, though. Like I feel like that's how. I hear that about every movie that gets made now because that's the only way to sell it to producers these days. It's like this
Have
could
any
become a
worked, though?
cinematic universe.
Wasn't there going to be like a Frankenstein and like Dracula?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The Dooku, dude, the dark universe.
Yeah, but then
cinematic
Warner
universe.
Brothers like went out of business or something.
Okay.
Yeah, something. But
Did they
this
even
movie,
make? There's like one movie, right?
yeah, they made that bad Tom Cruise mummy movie
Yeah.
God.
where Tom Cruise looks like way more short than usual. But Army of the Dead was like supposed to be a cinematic universe, and there's actually on Netflix another movie in the Army of the Dead cinematic universe called Army of Thieves, I think. But it's
What?
not a zombie movie. It's like a movie written and directed by the actor who in Army of the Dead plays like the safe cracker. He's like this like German guy who's like an expert in like cracking safes. And he's the guy who like needs to unlock the safe to get them the money underneath the casino. And I have not seen Army of the Dead Thieves, Army of the Thieves, but
It's a Thieves.
yeah, the Army. Okay, yeah, the Army of Thieves, but it is like a prequel to Army of the Dead about like some heist that this German guy did that like made him good at cracking safes or something. So there's that movie. And then in Army of the Dead, like some, there's like the zombies, there's like the smart zombies, and then there's like the slow zombies. But then sometimes when a zombie gets killed, its head like sparks and its eyes like go like have these like blue lights. And it's like implied, but never, ever, ever talked about that some zombies are robots. And in an interview, Zack Snyder was like, yeah, I was just thinking like maybe we could do some like cool comic books that explain the backstory of why some zombies are actually robots.
He's been spending too much time at Comic-Con listening to fucking nerds come up to him and pitch ideas.
Yeah, 100%. So like it is funny because it's kind of like a forgotten about cinematic universe similar to the Dooku that was just like kind of developed but never caught on. Like literally I feel like I'm the only fan of Army of the Dead in the world.
You might be. I thought people forgot about that movie after it came out. Because I remember when it came out, everybody's like, yeah, Zack Snyder made a new movie on Netflix and it looks like shit and it's stupid. And that's all I ever heard about it.
Yeah, but sometimes when I hear the sentence, Zack Snyder made a new movie and it looks like shit and is stupid, that's when my ears perk up.
Right. I don't know. I got burned pretty hard when Man of Steel came out. And then he made another fucking shitty movie after that. Oh,
Guardians of Ga'Hoole.
I did see that in theaters and I don't remember a single thing about it. I just remember it was just cartoon owls. I think it felt like a labor of love between him and his wife, so I'm not going to knock him too hard on it, but it's just a kid's movie. No, I think I saw Batman versus Superman and it's just like, wow, he's just gone full, like he's just a produce. Like there are some directors that are just like studio puppets. I know it sounds like man society or whatever, but there are certain directors who used to be good, but then they get these big paychecks from like Warner Brothers or Disney or whatever, and then they're just like, yeah, man, I'll do whatever you want. And so they just lose all artistic integrity and just make these shitty movies that have all of these different non-filmmakers' hands in the fucking pudding, if that's even a saying. And they just come out really bad. And like I kind of have a lot of like I don't have a whole lot of respect for directors that are willing to give up their artistic integrity that way. That's why when who's that guy who made Shaun of the Dead and stuff?
Alan Alda.
No, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
No, that was a prank. You just got pranked. You're thinking of Simon Pegg and
the director.
Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte. I love Shaun of the Dead.
Oh shit, what is that guy's name? The guy who did Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
And Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Edgar
Shaun
Wright.
Edgar Wright. So Edgar Wright was brought on. I mean, all of these like cult classic or otherwise like famous directors are constantly being like sniped by Disney and other likewise companies to direct their big blockbuster franchise films because they know that at the end of the day, a name is good enough to bring in, is enough to put butts in seats. So if you can make the director, attach his name to it, then that's just more butts in seats. Sam Raimi making the last Doctor Strange movie is evidence of that. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but I heard that it is just nothing. It's not even a Sam Raimi movie. It's just
I heard it's pretty
movie.
bad.
That movie is proof that sometimes a director puts butts in seats, but sometimes those butts fart in those seats.
Good. That is very well said. But
very well said.
So Edgar Wright was brought on. He was asked to direct the first Ant-Man movie. And halfway through making that movie, Disney fired him because he would not compromise on all of their shitty decisions and like suggestions. And I respect him a lot more for it.
I heard that Disney fired him from Ant-Man because Edgar Wright couldn't figure out how to make Paul Rudd that small.
Yeah, he's like, I'm trying so hard to make him so small, but he's not. He only is a certain size.
Yeah, they kept trying to squish him down, but Paul Rudd was like talking to the insurance company.
But like, I've lost a lot of respect for Taika Waititi for a lot of that reason. Like, he's just become a studio fucking puppet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That new Thor movie was very like kind of speaking of farts, it is kind of a fart in the wind. It's just like, it's kind of fun to watch, but like even in like Marvel continuity, it doesn't really matter. Like nothing really happens in the movie that seems very important in the grand scheme of things, and also in your life as a movie watcher.
Yeah, I've heard that's kind of just been the playbook the past couple Marvel movies, is to like just get a name, make the movie with what's that guy's name? Kevin Feige. Make the movie Kevin Feige wants, that's going to drop the few plot points to drive forward the next big thing.
Yeah, and then make an episode of the Marvel show. There are a few people like that, and Zack Snyder became that a long time ago with DC, and so yeah, not a huge fan of him these days, and I'm glad that he is making something that he obviously likes with the Army of the Dead thing, but it's also just like kind of cringe, I suppose.
Kind of cringe.
The decisions that he's made on that film in particular. So hopefully, being a little producer slave for 10 years didn't rot his brain away or something.
Well, if to our audience, if like me, your ears perk up when you hear that Zack Snyder made a movie that sucks and is dumb and bad, then check out Army of the Dead, because it'll scratch that itch.
It's on Netflix. Only $40 a month now.
No, it's cheaper.
No, they raised it because they all of a sudden realized, oh shit, we were making 1 million movies. How are we supposed to pay for it?
No, but you can talk for our audience. You can talk to your Netflix provider, talk to your Netflix agent, and say, "I just want to watch Army of the Dead," and promise them that you'll also watch Army of Thieves, and maybe they'll like give you a discount.
Did you know that there's only? Sorry, I burped. Did you know that there's only 3,500 movies on Netflix?
Really?
Wait, really?
Yeah, isn't that kind of weird?
It seems low.
I know.
That is low.
Wait, how do you know that?
You can look it up.
Wait,
Dane, did you count them all?
I counted them all. It took a long time.
1, 2. Oh shit! I lost count. 1, 2.
I think somebody told me that, and I was like, "What?" And I looked up, and it's true. And it's and the reason why I know that is because I've gotten into collecting physical media lately.
Hell yeah,
and
dude!
I own about 700 Blu-rays now.
Bro,
Dude,
watch out, Netflix.
So I'm like,
you should sell them to Netflix.
I give me a few more years, and I might just have more movies than Netflix.
That's so sick, dude.
Okay, I want to take a sidebar on that, actually.
Sure.
Okay. So how do you store 700 movies?
I have
That's
shelves.
a lot. Okay.
It's actually not too hard to store if you get a bookshelf and just put them on it.
Okay.
They do take up space, but it's like mostly vertical space. So it's like if you have a television You can most likely put 2 bookshelves on either side of the television, and it'll take up, I don't know, like a foot and a half of space each. And I mean, I think that it looks really cool. Personally, I blame my friend John from high school for having this like affinity for big like collections of physical media. But when I used to go over to his house after high school all the time, his parents had this big closet, like a walk-in closet, and every wall was like plastered, like wallpapered with DVDs. Just like it was basically like walking into your own Blockbuster in your house.
Whoa.
And we would pick out a funny movie to watch and watch it. Like that's how I watched Falling Down. That's how I watched Escape from New York and LA. That's how I watched all of these like movies that I probably wouldn't have seen, is because I would go over to his house and we'd watch some classic 80s movie. But yeah, I think that I've always kind of wanted to recreate that kind of vibe in my living room. And not to mention, I like the idea of owning physical media these days, because streaming services, while they do provide a lot of like convenience, it's so like unpredictable whether you're going to be able to watch something or not, because the rights to these things change hands every couple years. With The Evil Dead, which I still want to talk about, I literally can't find that anywhere on streaming. It's nowhere. You actually can't watch it. It's unable to be watched. So
I was at a curiosities store in Dallas a couple days ago, and they were selling a tiny like pinprick sized fragment of a brick that was used in the house in The Evil Dead.
Oh yeah,
nice.
That's a physical prop from the movie. So that's also valuable to have, because it can bring back memories of watching it. But you're unable to watch The Evil Dead. You're not able to watch it unless you own it. Isn't that kind of crazy?
That is fucking crazy, especially because that's a great ass movie.
And here's what I did. I was like, all right, well, I guess I have to buy it. So I went on Mercari, which is like it's basically like eBay. And I found a guy who was selling the Evil Dead Blu-ray. And I was like, I want that. But before you send it to me, can you confirm that this is the original and not the remake? Because the remake looks very similar on the Blu-ray case.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, it's the original. Sends it to me. It's the remake. So that's why I watched this out of order, because I was expecting to be able to watch it a certain day. And out of desperation, I normally don't pirate things, but I had to pirate The Evil Dead, which I think is kind of funny and stupid, because I don't know what's going on with the rights to The Evil Dead, but it's just not owned by anybody. Therefore, it's not available on streaming. So that's like another big reason to own your favorite movies on physical media, even if you only have like 20 or 30 like of your favorites that you just want to guarantee that you're going to be able to pop in at any given point. Like that's not very hard you can fit that on one shelf of a bookshelf. I think that's pretty reasonable.
I'm going to go buy 700 copies of Army of the Dead on Blu-ray.
That's another thing that I'm absolutely hating about streaming, is like Netflix has to decide to put that on physical media for you. But it's very likely that they won't do that unless part of the rights to that movie is owned by a company that is willing to put it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I feel like it's only their biggest stuff that gets on like the actual release, right?
Yeah. I really like Stranger Things, for example, but it's produced by Netflix, and they only have released the first season on Blu-ray. Nothing else.
Wait, really?
Yeah, none of the other seasons are available on Blu-ray.
That's crazy. So
and I don't think they ever will be, to be honest.
Yeah, they're probably like, buy your sub, sucker.
Yeah, stop watching it whenever you want for no money.
Dude, Stranger Things season 4 was so good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I think that I like it a little less than the first season. The first season is like perfect in my opinion, and it only ever went downhill from there. But fourth season is pretty close.
Yeah. Before we get too far, I want to ask one more thing about your physical collection.
Sure.
Do you rip the movies? Like, do you have digital backups of them, or
no?
Do you just pop them in when you? Wow. Okay.
I will probably rip them if I ever want to like edit a video about the movie. I have that option, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh yeah, you should do that. That'd be cool. I'd like to see you do a video about movies.
it's in the plans, but I'm always so busy making videos for other people or videos that are just not about movies.
Wait, can we segue? What have you been up to for your video stuff? Because the last Uncle Dane channel video was a few months ago, but I know you've been very busy with YouTube stuff in general.
Yeah, I have 3 major projects that I've been working on or going to be working on soon. The first one is one that I'm actually like 99% done with. I'm just like waiting on a few things to be finished by other people. And that is just a very, very long video about Battle Engineer in TF2.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's like an hour and 20 minutes long. It'll probably be out either next week or the week after that. I'm pretty much done with that video. I'm like kind of preparing to edit a video series that I've made with Ian and our friend Dax Flame.
Oh yeah.
And that, I don't know how much I want to say about it, but it is probably one of my favorite projects that I've made in a long time, and I'm very excited to make it, edit it, and see what people think about it. So that'll be fun. I'm going to be probably working on that for the next couple months.
Are you going to make Dax wear the Superman suit?
Yeah. We already filmed it, and we already made him wear the Superman suit, and he cried and stuff, but it made it funnier.
That's funny.
No, Dax is an amazing person, and he's awesome to work with. And it was genuinely like one of the best like 2 weeks of my video making life for that I can even remember. So it was just a lot of fun, and I think that it's going to come across in the videos as well. So yeah, I'm going to be editing that, and then after that, I'm going to be editing the documentary about the Creator Clash, which is iDubbbz's boxing tournament event thing that he had.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, he's doing a second one, and I'm planning on working on that probably starting at the beginning of next year, and that'll be out like probably a month or two before his second Creator Clash event drops. So coincide with the hype of that. And then after that, I'll be in the clear. Although me and Ian have another big project lined up that is more like subtle, I suppose. It's like kind of like a thing that we can do on the side more than anything, but that's still something we have to like start up and get going. So I think after he's done with his boxing thing, we're going to be kind of heads down trying to figure out like a way to work that into our daily schedules and stuff. So
is that side thing with iDubbbz where you and Ian plot the assassination of Sam Hyde?
No. Sam Hyde is going to be assassinated by the FBI at some point, I think. we don't really need to do anything about that. They've got that covered, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I've got my work cut out for me for a while, so I don't know if I'll ever really be able to sit down and like work on like what I imagine like an Uncle Dane version of like a movie review YouTube channel would be. But it is something I eventually want to do. So there's
you should start for the Uncle Dane movie review channel. You should just like completely rip off the report of the week and move to Florida and start wearing ill-fitting suits and review movies at your mom's house while eating fast food.
Well, I already do eat a disgusting amount of fast food, so I've already got that figured out.
You get did you pick up that McDonald's adult Happy Meal?
No, I didn't even know that was a thing. I actually haven't had McDonald's in a long time.
Did you hear that the toys have big old wieners? No,
lately I've been addicted to the Safeway Deli of all things.
Really? Dude, the Safeway Deli, that's where I learned what paninis were. That's where I was educated about Italian culture.
That's awesome. No, the Safeway Deli has so many like cheap good things. It's awesome.
Dude,
I'm a fan of the wide variety.
Yeah.
I've been on a Whole Foods Thursday 20% off sushi deal.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about your stupid water.
Shut the fuck up, Matt.
Whoa.
tell him about your water.
I've heard of smart water, but I've never heard of
No, not
water.
smart water.
What water?
It's
are you
liquid death, dude.
Matt, that was a one-time thing.
I gotta link this to you. So I was just in Chicago not too long ago.
I spent $15 on some water.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like it's just water though.
Dude, look at this.
It literally is.
No, yeah, dude, it's liquid death. So it is, in a way, it is. You're right. It is not just water.
But wait, why does it look like a beer?
Yeah, right. He walked out of his apartment to grab me, and I was like, "Damn, dude, you're just gonna bring your beer out to the street? That's bold." He's like, "Oh no, dude, it's liquid death."
Yeah,
That's
for
so
the record, I went to Whole Foods to buy their already overpriced generic spring water, but they were out of it, and the only bottled water they have was canned water called Liquid Death, and it was $15 for a box of it, and I did drink all of it, and it was pretty good. But yes, it is just water.
So funny.
The packaging is so strange.
Yeah, it's like
it's kind of cool for people like me who love like kind of like cool shit, you know. So like it kind of
you're trying to look like you're day drinking, but like you're not really day drinking. Too much of a pussy to actually day drink.
Yeah, but the thing about me is I'm not a pussy, and I'm actually pretty like fucking like cool, and like I'm kind of like a metal guy. So like by drinking Liquid Death, it just kind of like makes me feel like myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They sell an action figure.
Really?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna.
Is there a Funko Pop Liquid Death water bottle?
Is there a U2s?
It's like a shirtless guy with an axe with a can for the head.
When does the Uncle Dane U2s come out?
Look at this.
I'll never do that. That's
Manchester.
Sucks.
Dude, there's literally he has a can for a head.
Looks like a guy in like a Halloween costume.
Yeah, he's got. I think are his nipples eyes?
Yeah,
I think they are.
Is that what that is? Hell yeah!
Who among us' nipples aren't eyes?
Among Us, bonk bonk bonk.
I think Anya Taylor-Joy's mermaid character in The Lighthouse with the big pussy on her abdomen. I think she had eyes on her nipples.
No, but her eyes are definitely far apart like that.
Yeah, this action figure kind of looks like Anya Taylor-Joy's face on its chest.
Oh man.
Anya Taylor-Joy, friend of the pod. We're sorry. You can cut that out because we will be having Anya Taylor-Joy as a guest in a couple of weeks.
All right, Matt. I talked about Carrie. Gus talked about Zack Snyder's movie. I already forget the name. Army of the Dead. Can you pitch to me, because this is a movie I've been meaning to check out, VHS?
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, you picked the right guy. Right. So VHS is shitty, but it's very good. And if you like found footage movies, it's great. Like were you into those when like Paranormal Activity and like all that stuff was coming out?
I think that the found footage, like the horror found footage genre, started and peaked and then died with Blair Witch Project. Personally, I don't really like any of the other things that have like tried to recreate that magic. Paranormal Activity, the first one, I think is interesting because it was like made with like $2 and it like turned out pretty decent. Mm-hmm. But past that, I can't really think of any other found footage movie that I really am a big fan of. But I like the idea of it. I just think that it just hasn't really been done better than Blair Witch. So that's just my take on it. Okay, but VHS is a found footage movie, you're saying?
Yeah, so it's an anthology movie. So it's about, I don't know, it usually runs about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but it will have like 4 or 5 like short stories in it.
Right.
Like short movies, and like the way they're all connected is like
Buster Scruggs.
Yeah, kind of, but like
it's a Scruggs like.
Yeah, it's a Scruggs like. Or in a way, Scruggs is a VHS like, you know.
And they're both Christmas movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we got to talk about Violent Night, actually. That reminds me after this. But yeah, so VHS is just like, there's an overarching story, if you can even call that. It's basically just a way to like contextualize why there's 5 different movies within this movie. So it's kind of unimportant. But what I really like about it is it's found footage, but it's like a problem with a bunch of found footage movies is that the idea doesn't stretch well. You know, like you can't make it a whole movie. But what's cool about VHS, it's like, here's an idea, here's a 20-minute thing, and it's, you know, that's it. That's all you get.
Right.
And
it's over and done with in 20 minutes, and then you can move on to the next thing. And so that there's not a whole lot of opportunity for like the concept to unravel.
Yeah, like, well, and you don't need to stretch it out. Like, you can just kind of focus on what makes that idea cool. Like one that I think is in the first one, if you watch it, is there's this Banshee. I don't know what to call it. There's you know what I'm talking about, Gus, where that guy brings home like
succubus.
Yeah, there's like a succubus one, and it's like this dude like picks up a succubus at a bar basically. And like, you know, you can't make I mean, I guess you could try to make a whole movie out of that, but it's like it condenses it down to like what's really worth telling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, there's just a lot of like creative little ideas that they tell, and you can get through all of them pretty quick. So,
okay.
Yeah, I dig it. A lot of them are like kind of, I would say usually, like half of them are worth watching and the others are like, eh.
Okay.
So like,
sorry,
you'll watch. Huh?
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was thinking about that succubus one, which was really cool in VHS. And that short was actually directed by the guy who directed recently X and Pearl, those two horror movies that have been in theaters.
Yeah, a big reason why I wanted to watch VHS actually is because a lot of the directors of those segments have gone on to do other things that I'm interested in. For instance, David Bruckner is directing the new Hellraiser movie, or directed it. It's already out. So,
dude, it's good shit. And Matt has been an evangelist for the VHS series. I think you turned me on to the series, Matt.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Yeah, 1 and 2, great. Those are worth watching. 3 sucks. Don't even bother. They revived it recently. Now they're doing like a 90s
yeah, I see that there's one called VHS 2, VHS Viral, VHS 99, VHS 94.
Yeah, so Viral is VHS 3, and that's bad. Don't watch that.
But it's viral, and that appeals to my online brain. I'm online, and I like viral vids.
I guess that's maybe what they wanted, but
that's what it screams
it
to
just
me.
gives you an actual sickness. It's like,
oh, okay.
It's just really bad.
You get COVID.
It's so stupid that they would call it VHS viral. Like, what VHS tape is going viral? It doesn't make any sense. If it's entirely online, then it doesn't belong in the VHS. I don't know.
It was a weird
my computer doesn't even have a disk drive. You expect me to have a VHS drive in this computer?
VHS into my computer. I don't understand.
But yeah, the first 2 are really good. They brought it back recently. So 94 came out a few years ago. I just watched that. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually just downloaded 99.
Okay.
So I'm really hyped.
Well, I will check out the first one and see if I like the concept of like little horror short films, found footage horror short films specifically.
There's some really cool ones. Like
in
VHS 2, one that I'm always reminded of is there's like a found footage tape about this like an invisible serial killer in a forest. Like there's like these like teenagers like filming themselves in a forest, like having fun. And then there's like an invisible guy who like tracks them down and kills them. And you can like see him like with like when like leaves fall from a tree or something, you can like see the leaf kind of be like rustled by an invisible dude.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, that one's cool. I think that's in the second one.
Shoot, I got to rewatch it. My favorite from the second is there's this like cult that's in Indonesia, and this camera crew's coming in to like film them, and it's like right before like the dawn of like their new era. Shit gets spoopy.
Okay,
pretty good.
I remember in VHS 1 and 2, there was like a meta story where like in the like the movie starts and it's like a camera crew going into like a creepy house where they find like a corpse, and the corpse is like surrounded by VHS tapes, and they like pop the VHS tapes in and like start watching the anthology stuff that is the movie. But does that and that was I remember there kind of being a story between 1 and 2. Is that
No, they
is there like a
dropped.
through line? Oh, okay.
I mean, kind of. So like the through line of 94 is they're like it's like an FBI rating, or it's I don't know. It's some government agency rating this like place, and they have a news reporter with them that's recording, and they come in and they find all these dead people with all the VHS tape playing everywhere. But that was like mostly like it. They put a little more into it than I guess they normally would, because normally the meta story is like super nothing. And this one kind of is too. Like it's I don't know. They're kind of just like breaks, if anything. Like you finish watching it, gives you a second to like breathe for like 2 minutes, and then the next one starts.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a pacing thing.
Well, I mean, that's how I always looked at it, because it's like they're always like, especially in the first one, it's like they finish a tape and then they're like, "Oh my god, that was so wild! Wait a second,
Wait, put the next one in."
where the person is with when?
That was so scary. I hope the next VHS tape isn't as scary.
Yeah, it's like okay, cool.
Well,
yeah, Dan, watch it. Are you gonna watch that in your? Is that in your list?
no,
Like
I already
towards the end
have
of the
too.
month?
I have too many, already on my list. To be
Darn.
honest, but it is on my watch list now in general, and I don't mind watching it outside of the month of October.
All right. Well, when you do, let me know, because I can go. I
may
on
trade
that.
it out for a different movie like Happy Death Day or some shitty movie that I'm probably not gonna like anyway.
So
Happy
Netflix,
Death Day is like pretty good, but it's,
that was
people
one of the
talk about
early like Netflix movies, right?
What?
I think
Happy
I
Death Day?
I watched it in theaters, but I think it might have been like produced by Netflix.
Maybe
not
I'm
sure.
thinking something else. Oh, I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't even know how I got these confused. I was thinking of ABCs of Death.
Oh yeah, that was a Netflix thing. That was kind of
Yeah.
a VHS style thing, right?
Yeah, they had like there's this cool point in like Netflix in like 2013 where they were just putting out all these like really like low budget but like good gimmick horror movies.
Yeah, Netflix had some good kind of bad horror movies. Dude, I was scrolling through Netflix's horror section. They have literally like the reason why I watched Army of the Dead is because that was the only good horror movie that I saw on Netflix.
Yeah, I was looking too earlier. It's like there's nothing here.
The one thing,
are you talking about like Netflix produced horror movies, or
no,
are you just
literally
talking
just
about,
like the horror tab on Netflix
Yeah.
is just full of absolute trash.
really?
Yeah, but they do have one thing coming out maybe later this month. I didn't see it when I was scrolling, so I don't think it's out yet. I think maybe it's on Hulu or something. I think it's on Netflix. It's Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. It's like
Oh yeah.
anthology
looks
type
interesting.
thing. It's cool, but like the scariest part of the movie is going to be Guillermo del Toro's body type. Like he's like his body is shaped like an aluminum can and he always wears like I think he's kind of like the Liquid Death action figure IRL, but rather than the Liquid Death can being his head, that's his torso, and he wears like a really nicely tailored suit to cover it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I can't wait
Yeah, I
for
love
him
that
to
guy.
appear like that guy who says who's like there was like an old TV show with a guy from Star Trek where he's just like, was that fact or fiction? What was that guy?
Yeah. The guy. I never watched Star Trek, but I know what you're talking about. It's like there's like montages of that show on YouTube where
There's
he's
a
like,
very popular
he's like,
clip where he's
"No,
just like,
that
no,
one's
wrong.
false.
That
Yeah,
one's false.
wrong."
I
That
did
one's
actually watch
entirely
that show. I
fiction.
just don't even remember what it was called. It was called like Fact or Fiction or something.
Yeah,
But
something like that.
I hope that I never can pronounce his name, Guillermo del Toro. I hope that he comes out like that guy at the end of each one says, "Wasn't that scary?" Yeah, I thought of that with my brain.
Guillermo del Toro's body is shaped like the McDonald's.
You're obsessed with this. Like,
the
he's a fucking
McDonald's-
chunky man.
His body type is shaped like the McDonald's adult Happy Meal toy of Gromit, but flipped upside down. And
He's
his head.
Gromit-esque. He's definitely Gromit-esque.
Yeah, Gromitian.
So I'm looking at the horror movies on Netflix. I am planning on watching It Follows and Incantation, which are both on Netflix.
Oh, good. I think Incitation's on my list because it's on your list, but It Follows is really good.
I hated it.
I just watched Smile in theaters, and
Oh.
it literally is like it just takes the format of It Follows, where like the monster is just like a supernatural entity that like possesses other people
Right.
that
They're just
follow you
taking the
around.
form of like random people, and they
Yeah.
are just scaring you by standing there.
Dude, Smile is so bad, but it's so high
Is
budget.
it really?
Dude, it's so dumb. It's like the movie itself is really just fucking stupid as hell, but it's high budget enough where it has like 4 or 5 scenes of like big, like kind of like set piece scares that are like totally derivative of other horror movies. Like the scares are like things you've already seen if you've seen like It or It Chapter 2 or It Follows or Hereditary, but
I could have
like
sworn
very
that the
high
concept
budget.
was. I could have sworn that the concept was already, like covered in a movie called Truth or Dare.
I think it is a spin-off of that. I don't really know. I think it might be. I never saw Truth or Dare, but I think they're related somehow.
But it, like, I remember seeing the trailer for Truth or Dare and thinking, wow, that looks so dumb because like people are just smiling and that's supposed to be scary.
The concept,
and then they took that and they're just like, yeah, let's just do that again,
yes,
I guess.
The concept behind Smile is, don't you think Joker smiles are scary?
They shouldn't be smiling because that's scary to smile without being provoked to. I don't know.
It's like, bitch, you should be sad.
You should be a sad girl.
Yeah,
usually
you should be
scary
smiling.
people have mean faces, but these people don't.
Yeah, literally turn that smile upside down into a frown, which was typically people are like, turn that frown upside down, but in this case it should be the opposite.
It had Kumar in it though.
Yeah. Dude, Kumar is in it, and he plays like a psychiatrist, and he rips his face off, I believe 2 times. It's 2 separate times in the movie. He just like scrapes his own face off.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like, you're going to go to White Castle with that face?
See, whenever he smiles, that's because he went to White Castle.
Yeah.
And he got a funny burger.
He's just really happy.
Dude, literally, I drove by White Castle today, and they have some sort of product called the Cheesy 10 Sack.
That's such a bad name.
that made me titularly smile.
I also think that I saw a Your Movie Sucks review of Smile, and so I saw a few scenes from it, and I think they're mostly just taken from the trailer anyway. But I really want, like, you ever see that Hank Schrader meme where he's like smiling in one and then he's like mad in the other?
Yeah.
There's one part where it was like, it had, here, I'll put it in the thing, where it's just like, it goes from this guy's face to this. It reminded me of that. That should be a meme, I think.
That part was really stupid in the movie.
Why? Why is it stupid to smile randomly?
Because as someone who's not afraid of anything, when I see a Joker smile, I say, I'm not afraid of that.
There's this like type of it's a part of this brand of horror movie that I can't like put a name to it, but it's like, I guess like the best name for it would be like teenage girl popcorn movies.
Yeah.
Where it's just like 16-year-old girls go to this PG-13 horror movie with their friends. They're like, oh my God, this let's scream and hide and like put our hands behind in our head and eat popcorn and drink and like be loud and look at our phone most of the time. And
it is 100% targeted to them.
Like pretty much all of the movies that are produced by Blumhouse fall into that category, except for Get Out, weirdly enough. And
Get Out, so good.
So yeah, when I saw the trailer, I was just like, oh, it's just another one of those like kind of movies, I suppose.
I was really excited. I was hoping it was gonna be good.
That's the
Well,
thing.
I hope
it's
all
not,
movies are going to be good.
Yeah.
it's not like you're not going to walk out disappointed, but you will if you were expecting it to be like an actual good that scared me, and I'm adding that to my list of favorite horror movies movie. It's not. It's definitely just like it's like the kind of movie that we would have gone to like we would have like snuck into in high school to watch. Like it seems very much targeted at like young fucking idiots.
Damn.
Damn.
What a shame.
But there is some cool monsters.
I was sneaking in to see There Will Be Blood in high school. What happened?
I was sneaking in to see W, the George W. Bush biopic.
Oh, yeah, I
in
forgot
high
about
school.
that.
You're stuck into W?
Isn't that an Oliver Stone movie or something?
I actually, one time my dad just dropped me off at the movie theater, and I walked, and I just like, he dropped me off there for the whole day. And I went to W, fell asleep in it, and then stayed in that same theater for the next showing, and then actually watched it.
Nice.
Yeah. Turns out he did 9/11.
What?
Shit,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler.
What else did we want to talk about?
I would like to just have a conversation about the Flaniverse as it's known now. Do you know what the Flaniverse is, Dane?
It's official.
What's that?
So Netflix has been publishing a lot of movies by Mike Flanagan over the past decade now. And I've been an unknowing fan. I didn't realize until 2 years ago. I was like, oh shit, dude, all these like good horror movies I liked on Netflix are by this Mike Flanagan guy. So he did there's this movie called Hush that's it's a deaf woman who lives in the woods, and there's this guy that's trying to kill her. It's pretty good. Came out probably like 6 years ago, but I think he's just more notable for like all the series he's done. He did Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, like all the Netflix horror shows that they've been coming out with for the past couple of years.
He did Midnight Mass, which is another series of his that I have not seen. But my little brother told me that in Hush, the book that the main character is writing is called Midnight Mass. Oh well, Mickey also told me that. So you guys can kind of like figure that out off pod. Okay?
I'm a flanahead. Okay, I know my flannel lore.
You're a flan nut.
I'm a big flan nut. But yeah, so this year there's another Flanagan show out on Netflix called The Midnight Club, which so far, haven't seen enough, don't know yet. But the way they advertised it on Netflix is the Flaniverse is back. and I had never heard anybody call the filmography of Mike Flanagan the Flaniverse. I thought that was very dumb and good. Yeah.
It's a new way of saying it.
Welcome to the Flaniverse.
They're all they all take place in the same universe because all the characters in each of the movies is scared.
That's the connection.
Yeah.
I never got that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dane, have you seen any of that? I know.
No,
Gus
I've
has.
never heard of any of the movies you named.
What,
dude?
Watch.
One of them is on your list, Dane. Dr. Sleep.
Oh, okay. You didn't say that.
Dr. Sleep is that's another Flanahead movie.
I want to watch that because I'm a big fan of The Shining, and I want to see the sequel.
Well,
but I heard that it's not great, but I would still like to check it out.
Well, if you like the directorial, I can't say that word. You like the style of that movie, then you may be a Flanahead of Flanagan. If you like how
I might be a Flanahead.
You might be a Flanahead, dude.
Yeah, you might be cracking open a new flan nut, Matt.
Also, it stars the woman from Dune, which I thought she was like one of the standout performances in Dune. So I was like, oh, what else has she done? Oh, she's done that.
The Sandworm?
Yeah, the Sandworm.
Are you,
so
Zendaya?
Yeah, I guess I'll check it out. No, the mom.
Oh, okay.
She plays the titular Dr. Sleep, I'm pretty sure. Or wait, no, cool. Whoever the woman in the hat is.
I think that is the doctor. Sleep.
Is her name Dr. Sleep in the movie? I actually don't know.
No, I think I've read a review of Dr. Sleep. I think her name is like Maud. Her name is like
Hat. Like
Hattie.
Woman.
Hat. Yeah, it's like Hat Mama.
Yeah.
Dude. Did you make this meme? Who made this meme? Who posted that? Was that Dane? The Mopo. Should we call it the Mopo Paw?
Oh my god.
Mopo Potty. Time for a pod, dude. Okay, and when our listeners listen to our podcast, you know how this is a big marketing moment. If our producers could get on the line, so most podcasts people listen to when they're driving, but if we're the Mopo Potty, we can be the first podcast that specifically targets people taking shits.
Well, yeah, if you're ever shitting, if you're ever taking like an hour and a half long shit, then make sure you pop on the Mopo Potty while you're on the Mopo Potty.
We're a hemorrhoid friendly podcast. Mopo Potty. This should be the this meme you made. That should just be the image in the RSS feed.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll throw that in there.
Well, I just wanted to contextualize the part where I was describing this guy's face, and that should be a meme. You should just put that on screen whenever I say that. Because it already is a meme. There it is.
It's a meme.
But anyway, all right. Yeah, I'll check out the Flaniverse movie, Dr. Sleep, pretty soon, and I'll let you know what I think about it.
Yeah, and you should also look into Haunting of Hill House, because that's genuinely a very good horror show.
It's a TV show?
Yeah, so he's made a couple, like that one got really big a couple years back when it came out. It's probably like 4 or 5 years old now. But pretty much every other year since, they've been doing a new horror show like every year on Netflix. And they've all been kind of like, Midnight Mass was like good but not super great, and then Bly Manor was okay, but Haunting of Hill House is like genuinely like, or just a good show and a good horror show, which in my opinion had never really been done, because like it's kind of like everything I wanted. What's the shitty horror show that's like good sometimes?
American Horror Story.
Yeah, like it was kind of just like everything I wanted American Horror Story to be. But the problem with like every season of American Horror Story is it goes on at least like 2 episodes too long. And it just always has like pacing issues. Like the first season was probably the best paced one, but even that, it was like, okay, this is gonna be, this got to be over. This is, wrap this up. And then every one after that always kind of felt like it went on too long too, or they just lost what they were doing but had to write like 4 more episodes, you know? Yeah, Haunting a Hill House, very good. Okay. Very, very good. Hell yeah.
Well, I will give the movie I'm already planning on watching by him a shot, and if I'm like, I really need to see more of this, then I'll give it a shot. The show. You want to talk about Brain Dead?
Yes, dude. Like perhaps the goopiest movie I've ever seen.
Definitely very goopy, very gross out, Nickelodeon kind of slime kind of movie.
Yeah, it's like
kind of funny.
It's kind of like if Nickelodeon slime is a Happy Meal, then Brain Dead slime is the adult Happy Meal.
Yeah, it's very, very much like the adult Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, especially in the last like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I love that movie, dude. It was like so zany and like funny, and like it was almost like, I feel like it was like parodying New Zealand culture in the 1950s, but I had no context for that, so for me it was just like super crazy. But like it starts
very
out
New Zealandy.
It starts out with a scene where like a member of the police force for the zoo in like Wellington, New Zealand is like out in like the boonies of New Zealand transporting a Sumatran rat monkey, and all of these I'm not sure what the term.
It's a brilliant name, by the way, for a made-up animal.
Yeah, Sumatran rat monkey, which is like later portrayed in the movie as this like really horrifying claymation creature that has no business being in a zoo.
I honestly wasn't expecting it to be shown on screen at all because I thought like, oh, it's just a made up animal, so like it'll just be like off screen doing shit. But then it's just like they show it immediately and it's just like
the scariest little fucking
it's like a
thing.
little rat demon like stop motion animation thing, and it was really funny. And then immediately it gets its head crushed by some lady's heel.
It's like the first
disgusting.
like gore. The movie is like turbo gory, and I think that's like the first gory scene where like the main character's mom like crushes the Sumatran rat monkey under her high heel, and it's like super goopy and gross.
Okay, so what happened? I had an interesting experience watching this movie because I went to go and watch it. I wasn't able to get a Blu-ray of it. So I just went to YouTube and typed it in to see if I could rent it on YouTube. It's actually on YouTube for free. You can just watch it. And nice. two different channels uploaded it, but only one of the channels uploaded the uncut version. And
did you watch that? Did you watch that one? Because I did too.
Yeah. But at first, I watched just the first one that came up, which was like 10 minutes shorter because apparently they cut out a lot of the stuff that allowed YouTube to keep monetization on it. And I didn't realize that until that scene, because when she goes to crush the monkey, it like weirdly cut away. And I was like, I feel like the movie wouldn't do that. After all I've heard about Brain Dead, I'm like, if they're going to crush a monkey's head, then they're definitely going to show it. So I don't know why that happened. I scrolled down to the comments and the person who uploaded it is like, oh, by the way, I had to cut out a few scenes because YouTube would have demonetized me otherwise. And I was like, oh, damn it. So yeah, not seeing a monkey's head get crushed.
Demonetize him anyways?
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Whatever.
But
okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that movie is just like not owned by anybody, which is why it's so easily put on YouTube and not taken down by like copyright bots. But yeah, that was the first like instance of where I was like, yeah, this movie is cut up because there's no way that Peter Jackson would have he'd be like, all right, in this scene, the monkey's head get crushed, but we're not going to show it because that's too graphic. There's no way that Peter Jackson would ever do that. So yeah, immediately I knew something was wrong just from that, which I think is funny. And then after that, I was like, oh, I'll go and see if there's a different version. Turns out there's an uncut version. So if you're going to watch the movie, you can watch it for free on YouTube. It's honestly worth watching just because it's like pretty funny. And I'd say that like my takeaway from it is kind of strange because I'm a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings movies that Peter Jackson made. I've seen those movies probably more than any movie I've ever watched. So I have like his filmmaking techniques burned into my retinas. So watching that movie was interesting because there's a lot of like camera moves and just the way he frames certain people's like faces is very reminiscent of like a few shots in Lord of the Rings series, which is very strange.
Oh yeah, he does those like really fast zoom in shots into people's faces.
Where it's almost like where it almost feels like he's using like a fisheye lens occasionally.
Yeah, it's very like Sam Raimi, but more zany and less.
It is really
like,
goofy.
Campy. Yeah, it's very goofy. Good word.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely has the same kind of tonal, like, I don't know, whiplash that Evil Dead does.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it had the same tone as Lord of the Rings.
No.
But like, wow, interesting.
I watched Evil Dead earlier today also for the first time. So it was a good like movie to watch right after another because you can tell that a lot of the movie is very much inspired by Evil Dead. But you could tell that Peter Jackson's entire goal with that movie is to just make the bloodiest, goriest thing ever put on screen. And he did it. I've never seen a gorier movie than that.
Yeah,
There's
I think it's
so much blood in the movie. It's actually so ridiculous that it kind of, you get so desensitized to it that it's just nothing by the end of the movie. You're just like, wow, there's literally gallons of blood coming out of this thing.
Yeah, the lawnmower at the end.
Yeah, I knew that was the iconic scene, so I was prepared for it. But like, it's just so much. It's
The
so
whole
funny.
movie. The whole movie, I was waiting for someone to like the camera to zoom in on someone's face in that like Peter Jackson style, and for them to be like, "Right then, I'm feeling a bit brain dead, aren't I?"
I thought the title was like a meta commentary on the movie itself because it just feels like so stupid that it's just like, yeah, we're a bunch of brain dead idiots who laugh at like people getting their heads blended up in blenders and stuff.
It's kind of like a Guar if Guar made a movie.
There's actually a cameo by Peter Jackson in the movie. He shows
Really?
up. Yeah, right before they're going to do the funeral, and his mom is like, I don't know what happened, but she's like on the table and she just starts spewing a bunch of Nickelodeon green slime for no reason.
Yeah.
And like the people who do like what do you call like people who
the
like
mortician?
Yeah, the morticians. Like he plays the mortician, and he had like
really?
he had his like sandwich on her, right?
Yeah.
And
I
as he's
remember
like he's like gathering up his sandwich, he takes a bite of it, even though it's like got green goop on it. But he's one of the only characters in the movie that sees what's happening and doesn't scream. He's actually just giggling. And I'm like, oh, of course Peter Jackson would give himself the role where he's like laughing at what's going on. Because that's exactly his reaction to making all of these movies. I'm sure it's just he's laughing at how stupid it is.
It's like that movie Brain Dead is so, and I think Brain Dead in the US is called Dead Alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the original title is Brain Dead, but that movie is just like, it's so impressively it just keeps going. Like there's like 25 there's
so many gags.
There's so many gags that any lesser movie could have just like, the climax of the movie could have been like any one of the fucking like 25 insane like special effects set pieces that is in this movie, of just like crazy fucking kills, crazy creatures, like they put a baby in a blender like 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I get that feeling too, like that. That's why I'm saying like the whole goal with the movie was to just get to that point, which is why I'd say my biggest criticism of the movie is that like it's very slow going, and it feels like the majority of the reason to watch the movie is in the third act, because after the party starts and like all those people are there and they all get infected, and then basically the movie turns into, all right, like throw zombies at the main characters and they have like 25 different things to do to the zombie. Like that's like the entire reason for the movie existing. So I'd say that if you want to check out Brain Dead, it is on YouTube, but honestly, just skip to like an hour in and then watch that, because that is like the whole reason to watch it, in my opinion. Although there are a few scenes early on that are pretty like gross for the sake of being gross. Like there's a dinner scene where like the mom shoots pus into the guy's pudding and he eats it and stuff. It's fucking disgusting. But
in the first scene of the movie where the like zoological policeman is like transporting the Sumatran rat monkey, he's like bringing the rat monkey out of like the boonies, and these like aboriginals like encircle him and are like, hey, don't take our sacred Sumatran rat monkey or whatever. Yeah. And he just starts gunning them down. Like he like takes a machine gun. He's like, I'm a member of the zoo police.
He doesn't actually gun them down. He just fires like warning shots into the air.
Dude, when I watched, I literally
it looked
thought
like he did actually gun them down though. No, they just duck. They don't actually fall down dead.
Shit.
Yeah, I thought that would have been funnier though if he was like, I'm from the zoo, motherfucker, and blows them away like Rambo.
Yeah.
That opening, I was just like, immediately I was like, oh, you can tell he was already a fan of King Kong, because this is just King Kong. I think the island that he takes the Sumatran monkey from is called Skull Island, and then the Aboriginals just literally look like all of the Aboriginals from the King Kong movie that he made. So I was like, oh, this is just him practicing for King Kong.
Damn.
I also read a little bit of trivia that in King Kong, on the boat that they come back from Skull Island with, there's a there's a crate on the boat that is labeled Sumatran rat monkey. So
No way. That's so funny.
little throwback. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, its value is in its record-breaking amount of blood. So if you want to witness like film history, I suppose, then it's interesting for that reason. But as a movie, there's not really a whole lot to it. It's just like, you know, a bunch of fluff to get our characters into the situation where they can like chop off a bunch of zombies' heads and stuff. So there's that. If that's what you're into, then check it out.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I'm gonna do the skip an hour in thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. I want to dodge the pus. That sounds gross.
It is
I would
pretty
watch,
gross.
I would watch Brain Dead in 4D with smell-o-vision.
I actually do kind of want to get like a high quality like rip of it, because it seems like the versions that were uploaded to YouTube are ripped off of the VHS. It looks really bad for 1992. It looks like it looks really bad for 1992.
The version I watched was like, it was the uncut version from Germany, I guess.
Okay.
And like the movie, you'd be watching the movie, and then sometimes a scene would start. Like the camera would, like the movie would cut to like a new shot, and that shot would have like, it would just look like unfinished. Like it was like, almost had like a sepia tone filter over it. Like for maybe like 1/4 of the shots in the movie were like, they like didn't color correct them or something. And it didn't even seem like the
I noticed that too, like, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe
so
we watched this
maybe that
version.
is just the movie.
Yeah. I think it was like ultra low budget. I think they spent all the budget on the goop.
They spent all the budget on like 30 gallons of blood.
On the adult slime.
Yeah. The red Nickelodeon slime, basically.
That should be the name of the episode, Adult Slime.
Yeah, but yeah, check it out if you're into the concept of like a guy getting chased around by someone's like internal organs. That's actually like a good portion of the last scene for some reason. Yeah. Check it out. I don't know. It's funny. It's goofy. Probably not for the weak of stomach. If you're not into like gore effects in movies, then just don't even bother, because that's literally the whole gimmick of the movie. No other reason to watch it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what if The Thing was funny?
What if Quentin Tarantino and Sam Raimi and the guy who made Hostel, I forget his name,
Eli Roth,
all got together and put their brain into a blender.
Yeah, Eli Roth,
blended it up.
Eli Roth, Quentin Tarantino, and Sam Raimi walk into a bar. Ow.
And then their head detaches immediately. That's the one thing. And then this is consistent in a lot of zombie movies, and I'm pretty sure that Brain Dead is making fun of this trope, but I like how when you become a zombie, you suddenly become so strong that you're able to literally reach into people's bodies and take out their organs very easily, as if they're just made of like Play-Doh. I've always noticed that is like possible for zombies to do, even though they're the only thing that's different about a zombie is that they are just reanimated dead. Doesn't mean that they're able, their hands are able to like go inside of people for some reason.
They do that so often. Shots.
Oh, dude, you could do it right now if you're hungry enough.
Yeah, true. If you're hungry enough, I would recommend that you go to McDonald's and ask them for an adult Happy Meal and say, "I'm over 18."
Or just ask for one at Safeway.
Yeah. Ask for one at Safeway, and after you asked for it, the man behind the deli counter turns around and says, "Theme song."
I'm finished.
Yo, baby dick.